Hello, welcome back. I am Tavish Cardiff, one of the co-founders of the Our Raw Material Thought Practice, a simple arena for finding your own wholeness within everything you already possess. It is Food Week, which means we are talking about nourishment in all of its forms: emotional, spiritual, mental, physical. Looking at the ways that we are each underfed, overfed, where we could use some support, and where we might need to take a breather. Breath is one of the important ingredients in nourishment and in being and feeling nurtured. A breath practice can lead us so far into understanding how our own belief system formed, which is really the underlying point of Food Week. How did this particular belief system that we have, that we operate, form, and do the pieces that are holding together right now, like the most strong pieces of that structure, are they still valid? Do they still carry the fiber of everything that we believe? And do they resonate with truth throughout our entire body? Sometimes that requires a look inward. So the Our Raw Material arena is designed to take all of the pieces of our mental, intellectual formation and really get down into the roots of how those things formed, how they were nurtured, where they were fed, and what kinds of things they've been fed. And for each of us, that is something that, every week, really, we could go through and take a look at how did we do this week in terms of self-nurturing. But with this practice, it gives us an opportunity 4 times a year to take stock of our actual structure, take stock of what it's made of, and check in with all of those pieces that we've established as hard, fast beliefs, and make sure that they've stood the test of time, that it's still the right material for us to build everything else upon. I think the challenge this week is going to involve getting into the roots of our early belief structures, what we thought about ourselves when we were young, and how that informs who we are now, what we draw on from how we were nurtured as children that supports us or protects us now. So that's going to be a different set of criteria for each of us, but a tree stands in one place, it grows for a long, long time, presumably. And as it matures, the root system reworks itself. It, comes up in conflict, comes against itself, and has to find out which specific root is going to have the right of way. And the more beliefs we take in and build, the more we have to decide what thing gets our attention at any given time. So the mental structure itself is incredibly important in terms of how easily things can pass through it, and as they do, what they pick up along the way. Is it wisdom? Is it support? Or is it a rabbit hole of fears? Our roots can feed the entire support system or the entire tree, and they do, but what we feed it is going to have a lot to do with how that transfers and how it actually affects the health of our belief system or the tree. I like this metaphor of the tree because it gives us the stillness to evaluate our relationship with each of the 12 pillars from something that is solid enough to keep our attention in a still place. Enjoy the stillness this week. Enjoy your own mental structure. And I will be back next week to talk about ignorance, which is the 4th week of the practice. These first 3, mentors, music, and food, teach us so much about what our belief, what we were taught about ourselves and what to believe about ourselves from the people that we know, including ourselves, and then what our connection to something outside of ourselves is and how strongly we feel that. And then taking those two things into the set of beliefs that we operate with, taking that and having that knowledge be supportive enough to be whole while holding the awareness of the ignorance pillar, which is we don't know anything in relation to everything. So the tiny, tiny percentage of things that we know is so small in relation to everything there is to know. Meanwhile, back at the third pillar, we're over here creating a mountain of shame, blame, and judgment that our ignorance doesn't quite know how to tackle because we just piled it into our body, physical matter. There's a lot to unpack there, and I look forward to getting into it next week and in the middle cycle of the Our Raw Material practice. Thank you so much for being here. See you next week.